Now we are on Intro to Quadratics Part 2. This goes on page 8.3 in your notebooks. So this video is going to have a bunch of just random parts about quadratics. That's pretty much what this introduction is. You just need to know what all the different parts are, that way we can operate with them. And one of those things would be HROCs. And HROCs, it's a bunch of different words. It's an acronym that we came up with to try to help us include as many different names as possible for the same thing. So what I need you to do is write down HROCs and then make it vertical. And then off to the side I want you to write down that these are all, or that they all mean the same thing. They all mean the same thing, every single one of them. So HROCs. The H stands for horizontal intercepts. The R stands for roots. The O stands for zeros. The X stands for x-intercepts. And the S stands for solutions. Now, the reason why we have all these different names for it is because these are all the different ways that it's going to be presented to you. You're gonna be posed with a bunch of different questions, and sometimes they're going to ask for horizontal intercepts, sometimes they're going to ask for roots, sometimes they're going to say what are the solutions, and you need to know, that's just something you need to remember, that these are all, they all mean the same thing. So if they're asking you for solutions, that means you need to look for what your x-intercepts are. If they say what are the roots, it's a code word for the x-intercepts. So that's just what we need to remember when we have to deal with HROCs. When we have to find the axis of symmetry using a formula, it's actually pretty easy. We know that a quadratic equation can be written in the form y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. And when we have all that, the axis of symmetry, it's the vertical line that passes through x, and that x value is equal to negative b over 2a. So as an example, if we have y equals 2x squared plus 4x plus 5, we know that a equals 2, b equals 4, and c equals 5. So then I can plug those right back into my equation. So that means I'm going to have x equals negative, and then on top of my fraction I'm going to have my b, so negative b, which in this case is 4. So negative 4 over 2 times 2. Well, 2 times 2 is 4, so that means we really have 4 over 4, which simplifies to be, or we have negative 4 over 4, which simplifies to be negative 1. So x is going to equal negative 1. So that means our axis of symmetry, our AOS, is negative 1. So when we have graphs of quadratic functions, we know that they can either open upwards or they can open downwards. They cannot open to the left, they cannot open to the right. They have to open either up or down. And we have a bunch of different options for zeros, but those options, there's only 3 of them. We have either no zeros, 1 0, or 2 zeros. So if a quadratic equation has no zeros, then it is not even going to touch the x-axis. And as an example, it would look something like this. So we would have our parabola, and it's starting off of the x-axis and it's pointing up. So that would have no zeros. If it would have 1 0, that means it would touch the x-axis in only one spot, and I know it looks like it touches in more than one, but it only touches the x-axis once. And then if it has 2 zeros, that means it's going to actually cross the x-axis. And so we see that it touches it twice, so it would have 2 zeros. Similarly, if it opens downward, if it has no zeros, it is going to not even touch the x-axis. And then if it has 1 0, it's going to touch the x-axis in one spot. And then if it has two zeros, it's going to intersect the x-axis twice. So all I'm looking for you to do are give me some, draw your graphic organizer here, and then give me some examples of these graphs. We went over a few different concepts. We're going to be practicing a lot more in class, but the important thing is that we know the terminology. So some of the terms we went over today, you do not need to write this, but some of the terms we went over today were the axis of symmetry, the axis of symmetry. We went over H-rocks, and we talked about opening up or down. So with H-rocks, we talked about zeros. We've talked about, indirectly, we talked about the vertex, because we can find the vertex very easily once we have the axis of symmetry. So just a bunch of different stuff that we can do with these quadratics, and we will be practicing all of that in class. So until then, have a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you.